Hello, good morning. Welcome to this mid-morning taste challenge. I'm going to count for Wednesday because Wednesday, let me move this shirt. It looks messy. I have that for an upcoming beer review. Louisiana State University. And the cap. Place that on the side. Okay, so I have, how do I describe it? Two unusual products. This is Royal Kentucky bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. And I could not find it on the Heaven Hill website. Well, they don't list it as one of their brands, but if you look under their thing called product specifications, which is kind of like for their wholesalers, if they want to order stuff, there's a crown. It says finest quality. Oh. So bottled by Kentucky Distillers Company. Well, it's Heaven Hill. 80 proof Kentucky bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. So it's not listed under their bourbon. So I'm looking under their every category, American whiskey, no. I looked under blended whiskey. Okay. Now you go down there, they have Royal Spirit Blend. 80 proof. I said, okay. They got the handle bottle, the liter, the 750, this. The 375 to 200 milliliter. Okay. And it's all 80 proof. So it is a spirit blend. If it's a blended bourbon, it's a spirit blend, meaning straight bourbon blended with unaged grain spirits. Still got to be at least 51% straight bourbon. And then on Specs, S-P-E-C apostrophe S, Specs liquor store in Texas website, they're showing Royal, same label, but it says Royal Blend, Royal Kentucky Whiskey a Blend, Kentucky Whiskey a Blend, not claiming to be bourbon. So the only theory I can come up with is that at one time this was just an American blended whiskey, which is a category, okay? And then somehow they decided to make it a blended bourbon, keep the name. That makes sense. Because you can't add coloring to straight bourbon, and you can't add coloring or flavor to straight bourbon or just regular bourbon, okay? But blended bourbon is the category that allows coloring and flavoring to be added. So it's got to be that, right? I mean, there's no other option. Now here, I'm going to moisturize the cork. It's got that pressed together cork. This is New York City's oldest whiskey distillery. Thank you, David Garlapede, who does do reviews with me quite often. He gave this to me for a present last Christmas. It's Kings County Distillery Peated Bourbon. It's a medicine. It's shaped like a medicine bottle, the old type, kind of like an MD 2020 wine bottle. This is thicker. But bourbon whiskey, 45% alcohol by volume. Now on the back, it says aged 2 years or more. So it's got 2-year bourbon in it. Now, could it have older bourbon? Yeah. But you got to go with the youngest. So the youngest is 2 years. Okay. The original peated bourbon, that's their tagline in quotes. The original peated bourbon, quote unquote. Batch number 18, distilled by Kings County Distillery, Brooklyn, New York. And I was able to find that this was established in 2010. There's a whole little booklet on the side you see here, and you can read it. Started in 2010. We use New York grown organic corn and rye. Our mash bills are a hybrid of distilling cultures. We use a high malt mash bill instead of high rye. Open air fermentation called off the grain, open air fermentation. Copper alembic pot stills, built in Scotland by a company called Forsyths. We make narrow cuts off the still. Our proof at barrel is 110, 116 proof. Kings County originated. All right, so we do not chill filter our whiskey. Okay, so you got all that, and you can look at their website to get more in depth. People don't want to sit here and have me read that. It's like some guy, I stopped watching his videos for a long time, but then I started watching them again. I'm backtracking, watching his videos, but he used to get on my nerves because he would read reviews. He would, like, the video might go on for 15 minutes, but 8 minutes of that was him reading reviews off of Beer Advocate and Rate Beer. I said, couldn't people just look that up on their own, you know? But I said, I could just skip through that, you know, get a general sense of what he's saying. And he does a good job. He's fair, you know. So I said, okay, I'm going to go watch all his videos. He's from England. Butch Willie says, I just joined. I hope everything is okay with the tornado. Well, yes, here it is. It's 5 miles east they got hit. You were talking about in a video yesterday. Glad you got power back. No, we never lost power. But our cable channels were messed up. And I don't know if that was related to the tornado anyway. It may just have been a coincidence that their equipment had gone bad. So they came over here Saturday. They were replacing wires and got the cable channels working again for me, my next door neighbor, my across the street neighbor. And but then the internet wouldn't work. At first it was shaky, and then it was just dead all Sunday and all yesterday. So he came and fixed it while I was at work, because I worked yesterday. Then he came in and checked my modem, and he had this screen, this screen thing, this computer screen thing that he like pointed at the modem, and it read it, and he was telling the guy 45, that's fine. Oh, that's perfect. Let's go. I don't know what all that meant, but whatever gauge it was supposed to have, it was meeting that parameter. So it's been working fine since, you know. So, no, we didn't lose power, just lost internet. So I'm trying to catch up on everything. Morning again, says Angelo from Arizona with the cactus. Yeah, I've been to Arizona. It was very nice. I've been to 48 states. So I got 2 left. Many video reviews today are from adults with children's mentalities. Oh, yeah. I hope I don't see any of those. Although I have in the past too many times. But anyway. All right. So I got this nailed down finally by persistent research, but I can't find out when it was introduced, because if you notice, there's no trademark on it. You know, usually a brand will say like R with a circle around it. That's a symbol. It means registered trademark in the, you know, registered in the United States Patent Office trademark. Or sometimes they'll write it out. Registered trademark, United States Patent Office. You'll see that written out. Or they'll put TM, meaning trademark. Now this one here, Kings County. No, I don't see that either. Oh, weird. But it said when I was looking at the data for trademarks. Oh, no, I don't think I ever looked that up. Why did I have to? Because after all, they say on their website 2010. So, okay, I never checked. Okay, well, you never know. Trademark is a government protection for your like symbol, so other people can't use it. And this is an example here, Land Shark Lager. It says real small there, R. That means Land Shark, the name Land Shark is registered at the United States Trademark Office, and no one else can use that. The first product in the world ever trademarked was Bass Ale. Bass Ale in England, trademark number 1. They always brag about that. We're the first product ever trademarked, Bass Ale. So their trademark registration number 1. All right, well, anyway. 80 proof versus 45 proof. Now, another one I tracked down finally was this oddball thing, Quality House. And there's another crown. I don't know what this is with Heaven Hill, why they got to put crowns on things. Maybe they think they're the king of whiskey, perhaps. Quality House. We get Quality House, Kentucky. Blended whiskey in Louisiana. It's everywhere. It's called Quality House It used to just be called Heaven Hill, but now it's called Quality House Heaven Hill Kentucky Blended Whiskey. But I found these two in Arkansas, right across the boulevard from Texas. You know, Texarkana, where half the city is Texas and the other half is Arkansas, just like Bristol, Tennessee / Bristol, Virginia. You're walking around the town, you can't tell which state you're in. You lose track. But anyway, blended whiskey with natural flavors. I said, nah, it was only like $5.99. I bought it, bottled by Quality Control Distilling Company. But then I got home and I was looking at the package, you know, and I was like, 70 proof. Are you crazy? I guess that's allowed. I got to look at my regulations. I know Sazerac sells a similar product called Calvert Extra. And I was going to buy it one day when I was in Meridian, Mississippi. And I saw it said 70 proof. And I took it, I put it right back on the shelf. I said, I'm not buying some 70 proof. I made that mistake when I was in Mexico and I bought Presidente brandy. And then I come to find out it's only 70 proof. And that's for Mexico. You see, I bought it in Mexico, thought I was getting a deal wrong. The one they sell in the United States, Presidente, is 80 proof. And that's why that thing tasted so washed out. Glad I only bought a half-size bottle. I was so disgusted. Okay, Royal is trying to compete with Crown Royal. Yeah, good luck, huh? I'm an adult, but I was always so attached to my childhood, so I still behave as a child sometimes. Well, we all do that, you know, occasionally. You know, I did more when I was younger because I was more immature. By the time I get fully mature and make all the right decisions, I'll be so old I'll die. I love Landshark beer, clinking the mugs. It's delicious. Hungry face and laughing, crying face. To me, it tastes like a higher quality Miller High Life. Okay, I like Landshark. But anyway, I was just using that as an example. I could have grabbed the old German right there. All right, on with the show. This is not going to be any kind of real challenge, so let's just get it over with. It's not going to last long. You got a metal cap, but it's a cork. Well, like somebody pointed out to me, it's like pressboard cork. It's not a hunk of cork. It's cork. It's chips of cork, and I don't know how they hold it together, like some kind of resin, obviously. Some kind of glue that's not unsafe in case it gets in your drink, but that's not likely to happen anyway. Keep it moisturized. Now, what's the price of the Kings County? Well, expensive. It's like about $58. Let's check the price. It was given to me as a gift, you see. But my friend David said he got a deal on it. Somebody had it discounted to $38. So he bought it. I know he got a good deal because there's no way it's $38. Put these over here. Good, even. As you can see, the Kings County's a copper, amber to copper, good dark rich color. Does that come from the aging? Not really. I was reading about bourbon. You know, really the color comes from when they first put it in the barrel. The first few months, it's going to suck up all that charcoal, depending on the thickness, a level 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, the alligator char. As it ages for years, it's not going to get darker. It's just going to, you know, mellow out, smooth it out, gain more flavor and that kind of thing. So that was interesting to know. Like you could age Scotch 50 years, but if it's in a used barrel, and many Scotches, maybe most, or aged in used bourbon barrels, or as they say in Scotland, bourbon casks. And those barrels might have been used 20 times before they ever sent them to Scotland. So the char is all basically worn away from multiple usages. And if they age the Scotch 50 years, it's not going to get darker. It'll take on a little color, but it'd be very, very light. And that's why they often add caramel color into Scotch to give it some color, and they say they claim for consistency in color, and I guess that's true. Let's see. Kings Whoops, Kings. Now, if the weather is bad as it could be, you may not see me for a few days because we could lose electricity and then we'll all freeze. I'll be under blankets trying to stay warm. We could have pipes busted and that'd be a disaster. Of 20 degrees, I think I'll be all right. I had problems with that before when it got below 20. And I even had a pipe bust one time. But it looked like it looked, the man that repaired it said, it looked like this thing been patched up multiple times, this hot water pipe. I said, yeah. He said, let me change it with a new pipe and it'd be better. Yeah, fit. Well, that's the straight bourbon. Okay, for a half size bottle, it's $31.99 for peated. That's all they sell at Total Wine is half size, but the full size straight bourbon is $57.99. So we're talking about $58. Last year it was $54, you know, with the JB inflation. Like it too, Angelo says, Butch. Angelo says, doesn't it kind of remind you of the taste of Miller High Life, but just slightly different and better quality? I can't really say that, honestly, but I like it. I do like the Land Shark. It's a little too expensive for what you get, though, so I never buy it. Yes, although I like High Life as well, Angelo. Okay. So, oh golly, I need to pour a little bit more Kings County. I'm not trying to drink too much, though. That's not the point. I'm trying to get it even. Because in the past, I've noticed when I do these taste challenges, if one is a little bit fuller, it'll actually, you can feel it. It'll have a little more weight to it. And I'll be like, oh, that one's heavier. It must be the, see, I don't want to guess on weight. I certainly don't want to guess by looking at it because you could see one is clearly darker. One is just gold. And this is darker. So I want to guess on flavor. I don't think it's going to be difficult. So let's do it right. Okay. A gloomy day. The best thing I like about winter is that it doesn't last. And look how much has changed over the years with all of this change in the climate. When I was a child, you know how it would be as a child. In the winter, it would be cold. Ooh, and then in the spring, it would start warming up. And then in the summer, it'd be really hot. Ooh, golly. And then in the fall, it would start getting cold again. Now, by the time I was a young adult, a teenager to a young adult, look what happened then. In the winter, it would be cold. Then in the spring, it would start warming up. Now, during the summer, it'd be hot. Ooh, it's so hot. And then in the fall, it'll start cooling down again. Now, by the time I got to middle age, where I am now, I'm not old. Somebody told me the other day, we're old. I said, we're not old. We're middle-aged. You know, young, middle, and old. See, three stages. You know, like early 70s, mid 70s, late 70s, music. You know what I mean? All right. But man, by the time I got into middle age, in the wintertime, it'd be cold. Ooh, cold. Ooh. And then in the spring, it'll start warming up. And then in the summer, it'll be hot. Oh, man, it'll be so hot. And then in the fall, it'll start cooling down. So just think about what I just described to you. And can't you realize, man, the crisis that we're in based on what I just explained? And that's why we got to give all our power to the government to protect us. And I think we all agree with that, just by based on what I just told you. Okay, I'm sorry. For the planet, man. Okay. And you know the government would never lie. You want me to believe that? Is that what you want me to believe? Oh, that they would lie? Next thing you're going to tell me is the Gulf of Tonkin incident. All right. Yeah. All right. We do not support wackos on this channel. I'm unanimous in that. This smells like A lot of wood. And remember, the Kings County are high malt. So, of course, they're going to all be high corn because that's the law. But once you get above 51%, you can have it be a lot of rye, like the Sazerac bourbons people claim they are. Or you can make them high wheat, like Weller or Larceny. Or you can make the add-on high malt, like this. Doesn't have to be. You could make it 1/3 wheat, 1/3 rye, 1/3 barley above the corn. Or it's so creative. The law lets you be so creative. You could have it 90% corn, 3% rye, 3% barley malt whiskey, malt whiskey, like in Scotland, they call it single malt whiskey, or and 4% wheat, however you want to spin it. Yeah, that smells really nice. Oh, yes. Okay, this smells like faucet water. Our water here is good. Our water comes from a well, and it just smells nice. Like you don't get all that sulfur like you get in some of those states, and it'll smell like eggs. But there's not really much aroma. It's just like a faint little sweet corn. But tell you the truth, if you said, what does Kentucky's Royal Kentucky smell like? I'd be saying, I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out. Can't smell anything. Smells like my father says, inert. He means like inert gases. It hasn't. So I'm going to say on aroma only, this is the Kings County. And do I smell a little peat smoke? Because they use peated malt, like Scotch. It's a bourbon that's supposed to smell like a Scotch to some extent. And that's allowed. But they don't call it a straight bourbon, notice. And I can't figure out why. It's aged at least 2 years in new charred oak barrels. And it's at least 51% corn. So I don't know why they don't call it straight bourbon. And it's not like they're bringing in bourbons from other states, because like they say, all of their whiskey, 100% of all their whiskey is distilled in New York State. Well, you could, even if it was New York City, it's still part of the state. So, yeah, it's a mystery. Bringing in peated malt from Scotland wouldn't disqualify it, because that's just the ingredients going into it. So I can't explain it. This is the Kings County. It smells way better. Aha, 2 in a row. Yes, I got it on aroma only. 2 in a row. Is that any kind of great achievement? I don't think it is, because why would it be? You're talking about a $57 bottle. Of course, like I said, my friend David got it for $38. What a deal. We get those deals around here in Louisiana. Let me tell you, it's amazing. But no, normally you're going to pay $57. $57 bourbon versus a $7.99 bourbon, $8, $7.99. This one did not stand a chance. This was a taste challenge in name only. Okay, I have some Jim Beam. I really like Jim Beam, says Angelo, and then Butch said I had it yesterday with soda, Angelo, and then Quatus V the fifth says, how many bottles of liquor deep are you? It's 11 a.m. and you already what? I reckon I should start drinking moonshine. I don't know what you're talking about. You mean how many bottles do I have in my collection that are unopened? Oh, many. I'm not saying that they're high quality now. They're just, average to low average at this point. But they'll be fine. I wouldn't drink Everclear, and I wouldn't drink Diesel. That's a brand. It's called Diesel, made by Sazerac. It's like a competitor to Everclear. And then they have one from Luxco. What's it called? Jim Clear. Oh wait, Everclear is from Luxco, right? Jim Clear. Jim It's from one of those other companies, maybe Laird's or the one from Princeton. I don't know. So many of those. Every liquor company in America makes a clear 190 proof spirits thing, what you call moonshine. But they tell you don't drink it. It's not made for drinking. It's made for creating your own liqueurs at home. It's not for drinking. It's a base. So don't be a fool. It's 190 proof. It's a bomb. If you got near, it'll tell you don't get it near a flame. It'll explode, blow your kitchen up, kill you. Okay, this is rich. You could taste the wheat. The wheat is like rich, good white bread, and the bread crust, and you get the peat, the smoke. It's not real smoky now. Don't get me wrong. This is not like a true smoky Scotch. It's just got little hints of it. No, I mean, it's got so much more development, character. It's a sipping whiskey. It's made for sipping. You don't pay $57.99 and then put this with Coca-Cola. No, you do that with this. You pay $7.99, not $57.99. This is $50 cheaper. You pay for this and mix it with Coke because this has essentially no flavor. I'm not going to say it has no flavor, but essentially, let's go taste it here. In my right hand. When I write with a pen, I use my left hand. When I cut with scissors, I use my right hand. It's like I use both hands. Okay. One time the teacher in elementary school gave me left-handed not left-handed cigarettes. Left-handed scissors. And I couldn't cut with those things. I said, what is this? What are these things? I put those down and I got regular scissors and I was cutting around, cutting. So ambidextrous. That's irrelevant to what we're doing. Royal, as they call it on the Heaven Hill website product specification list. I don't call that a website listing. That's just for, like I say, it doesn't give you any information about the product as far as the taste and notes, the aroma notes, the appearance, what kind of stuff goes into it. Nah, it's just a list for, like I say, people that want to order for their wholesaler, their distributor. Most people looking at the website not going to look at that. But they will let you look at it. Yeah, it's just very bland and not in a bad way. I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I don't want this to come across in a bad way. It has flavor like sugar water, rock candy, candy corn, honeysuckle, nectar, any of those kind of things like sweet corn. But if you're looking for barrel, charred oak barrel, rich vanilla, and so forth, yeah, no, forget it. Give it up. It ain't happening. Does blended bourbon have a place? Oh, it has a place. It has a role to play. Don't necessarily want to be one of the people playing in, acting in that play. I've had some better ones. I think Kentucky Gentleman from Sazerac's a little bit better. It's got a little more wood flavor. I'd have to do a blind taste test to be sure I don't have any more. I'm not going to buy more. When they made Kentucky Tavern, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, oh, that was dynamite. I could get that for $8.99 for a liter. True story. And it was so good. It was such a good product for such a low price. Then they changed it. Now it's a blended bourbon. Bourbon with natural flavors, Kentucky Tavern. Still aged 3 years. Is it any good? I don't know. I'm sure it's not where it was. And 10 High from Hiram Walker. Well, that's owned by Sazerac today. Hiram Walker used to be an independent company. Big company, too, until the 1990s. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's bourbon. It's a type of bourbon. Okay, so this is a type of bourbon. It is a type of bourbon, a class of bourbon. It's called blended bourbon. But Heaven Hill lists it under their blended whiskey category. And it is a blended whiskey. Bourbon is a whiskey. So, by deductive reasoning, it would be a blended whiskey. All blended bourbon is a blended whiskey, because due to the fact that all bourbon is a type of whiskey. They're not all blended, however. There's straight bourbon. There's bottled and bond bourbon, you see. Oh, man, this thing is dynamite. It's great. It's wonderful. Every time, I can taste the smoke a little bit. The peated smoke's starting to come in. Oh, yeah, that's a treat. 90 proof. I mean, you would have gotten it on the proof. Even if these two things had no flavor, I'd have picked up the proof, 90 versus 80. But it's wonderful. I'm glad he gave it to me because I never would have gotten around to buying it. I know I never would have done it. I just wouldn't have done it. But it's got this nice embossed bottle, Brooklyn, New York. DSP NY 15025. That's Distilled Spirits Plant, New York, and the U.S. registration number is 15025. Because every distillery has to have a, what they call an establishment code. Vienna sausage has to have an establishment code, like the canned meat. You might have 25 different brands and it'll all be the same establishment code. And almost always it's Fort Madison, Iowa at Armour, ARMOUR, Armour Meats. But it'll have all different brand names, Bryan, Brookdale, Armour itself, and so forth. And they got people that say, I don't eat that Bryan. I want Armour, coming from the same plant. Do you really think they're going to stop production so they can change the recipe? Come on. It all tastes the same. All they're doing is changing the label. I mean, a child could figure that out. It's like coffee. Why are you, people tell me great value coffee. Oh no, medium blend, medium. I say, you ever notice that great value tastes remarkably identical to Folgers medium roast? You ever notice that? You ever thought about that? You ever stop to think where the two largest coffee mills are in the United States? It's Folgers in New Orleans. There's two of them. The western one, right by the Industrial Canal, right next to Interstate 10. It used to be called Standard Brands. It was owned by Standard Coffee. Who knows? That could have been a subsidiary of Folgers all along. Standard. They still sell that, but it's mostly like this. Have it in offices. Like if you go to a dentist's office, they'll say Standard. They kind of drive around in a truck, and you can't really buy it at the store, but anymore. But that's Folgers, and they make all their big brands there at that big. You could smell it if you have your windows down and it's warm. You could smell the coffee roasting. Now their eastern branch, it's not as big. It's big though. The coffee mill there on United States Highway 90, the old 90, Gentilly Road, used to be 90 before they built the new one. They make all the specialty brands there. They call it gourmet brands. Oh, and they're probably selling it under all kind of alias names like I don't want to say the names because you probably paying $6 a cup of coffee and you get mad if I say it. And you say, where did my bucks go? What happened to my bucks to drink this? I didn't know it was made by Folgers. So, don't get all excited. That's the point. Heaven Hill is another perfect example. Yeah, so this tastes fine. Is it harsh? No, it isn't. And they told me on the phone at Sazerac that the reason they add natural flavors to their cheapos, they're cheap, like a little chicken, cheap, is to smooth it out. Okay, I said okay. And I'm sure Heaven Hill's doing it for the same reason. It's fine. Doesn't taste bad. There's no off flavors. There's no harsh flavor. There's no bad bite to it. But there's really just no flavor. It's just a commodity. So why does that liquor store carry so many bottles? I'll tell you why, because it's $7.99. And a lot of people don't have all kind of money. You know, a lot of people don't make a lot of money. They work hard. They work 40 hours a week or more. But they can't afford expensive things. But they want some bourbon after work. Well, you know what? This is all right. But I would mix it. And I'm sure that's what everybody's doing with it. It's fine. Fine. But that's it. Fine. Now, when I drank it on its own, with no comparisons, I just drank it, you know, stone cold new. I didn't know anything about it. I was able to pick up a lot more character in it. If you watch my solo video when it gets posted, there was a lot of things I detected in it, which was shocking to me because I thought it was just going to be a dog. You know, I said, this stuff's going to be a dog. But I'll say, oh, it has this, that, and the other thing. But where it breaks down is when you put it in competition. So if you only drink it on its own, and that's your only bourbon, Royal, and you live in Texas or Arkansas, because I've never seen it anywhere else, it's going to be fine. But don't make the mistake of start taste challenging it, because it's going to fail. It's going to fail miserably. But yeah, so in isolation, it's good. In competition, it's a wreck. You know, it's like in football, people say, our team is great. Northern Iowa is great. Southeastern Louisiana is great. Western Carolina is great. You know what I mean? Colorado School of Mines, our team is great. We won 10 games and only lost one. They're great in a context because they played Southeast Missouri State, Eastern Kentucky, Southern Illinois. You know, you look at their schedule. They didn't play. Now you say, well, what would happen if they played Nebraska, a team that's been doing terrible lately in the Big Ten? Nebraska, just a horrible program, you know, in a relative sense. But if you took this great team, like I say, Northern Iowa, and put them up against Nebraska, it wouldn't work. And that's what's happening with these. You see, you got different classes. So in its class, it's okay. In its little, and nothing wrong with that, in its lower area. And I go to Southeastern Louisiana football games, and they go to the playoffs every year pretty much. But we have enough intelligence to know that if they play Tulane University at Division I, bowl level, the teams go to bowl games, they're going to get killed. They're going to get killed. They cannot win. If they play Louisiana State University, LSU Tigers, there's no chance. They cannot win. They cannot win. And that's the kind of why I'm bringing this up. That's the reference point here. That's how you have to look at it. And I'm not saying that, you see, and you have to look at it correctly, because I'm not saying, oh, well, don't go to those games because those teams are not as good as University of Miami, Ohio State, Michigan. You think every university in the United States is the same size? You know, it's not fair. It's like an insane, disturbed way of looking at it. And that's how people look at beer sometimes and liquor. They don't understand that there's different levels, you know. So anyway, all right. But I'm not saying you should be at this level. I'm not saying you should entertain this level. If you say, oh, no, I'm not drinking Evan Williams Green Label. I'm not dealing with Jack Daniels Green Label. I'm not dealing with Royal, whatever that is. I'm not dealing with, you know, all these Sazerac off-the-wall bourbons that I ain't never heard of. Like very old Barton. which you can find in some isolated southern towns. I get that. I understand that. You say, I only deal with Premier. If it's not Premier, I don't deal with it. That's fine. It's your money. Buy whatever you want. I totally agree with that. And I would 100% support you. On the other hand, I'm saying if people want to deal with these lower classes, you know what I'm saying, these other little brackets, that's not wrong either. Okay. Now, I mean, this taste challenge was not fair, you know. But anyway, let's go to the comments and we out of here. It's going long, but we had a good discussion, I think. What food items pairs well with whiskey? I really cannot comment to that effect because I've never drank whiskey with food. So I'm definitely not the person to talk to about that. I'm sorry, I just don't know. Everclear is a good gasoline substitute. Yeah, if you have one of those E85 cars that can run on ethanol. I had a truck like that once. I never tried it. Red beans and rice, maybe. Kate Oatis says, I'm not a fan of drinking if I don't get to eat good food. Okay, same here. You gotta have a good food pairing with alcohol. No, I don't drink alcohol with food. I just drink a little wine, like a rosé wine or whatever wine I'm dealing with. Any food will do, but no matter. I love Mexican beer with carne asada, beef, barbecue steak, tacos, and burritos. Budweiser Chelada goes great with it. Well, I can see that. You a big coffee man? Oh yeah, I'm addicted to coffee. Now I'm not addicted to alcohol, thank God. I don't have to have it. I like to drink it and try it out. You know, it's fun, like a hobby, but I'm not addicted to it. I don't need it. I can give it up like in a snap. But coffee, I can't. I'm sick. You know, I gotta have it. Cheers to you, AMC Stonks. All right, thanks everybody for watching. It's a long video. What is your favorite coffee? Well, always coffee and chicory. You know, coffee and chicory, of course, but it's so expensive. But RT, I used to drink RT all the time in the 1990s. It was $1.97 a package. It's the darkest dark roast coffee in the world that's not burnt. It's amazing. RT. From Riley Foods in New Orleans. That's an amazing coffee. But now the price has gone from $1.97 to like $7.97. No thanks. But I did get a deal on some New Orleans French Quarter coffee, coffee and chicory recently. An amazing deal. And it's, I can't wait to go to sleep at night because then I know I can wake up the next morning and start putting that coffee on start brewing it. It's so good. All right, thanks everybody. Y'all take care now.